Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today. It is a Tuesday, officially in the rear view mirror edition of the postseason. I am Marsh, joined on a Tuesday morning by one Rick Blaze. Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Good morning to all. Good morning to all.
You sound like you just woke up. You look like you just woke up, and your lack of response tells me you
What
did
what
just
what is
wake
that?
up.
Wait,
Good
what is that
morning. Good
supposed to
morning,
mean? I
Rick.
look like I just woke up.
You give me one of
I woke
these.
up like this.
Yeah, because you just woke up. You give me one of these. His eyes are not open. You're kind of just like you're here, but you're not present. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're
Oh,
giving me
trust
right
me,
now.
I'm here and I'm kicking your ass.
Well, you speaking of kicking some butt, because kids show, so watch the language. Last night, the Los Angeles Rams did just that, dismantling a 14-win Minnesota Vikings team. I hate to say I told you so, but we're getting closer and closer to that moment as the Rams march on into the divisional round with a dominant win last night on the finale of Monday Night Football. Rick, the Rams looked really freaking good last night.
Well, I mean, to your point, it's been a boring playoff, right? Because the teams that we thought was going to win pretty much has won. And this is the Vikings MO. Every year they get hot during the regular season and they have a lot of momentum coming into the playoffs and they had 10 wins, 11 wins, 12 wins, whatever. However many double-digit wins, they do this every year. And then every year they come up flatter than the old soda water sitting in the back of the convenience store. That's just what they are. Now I think they had more of a chance this season. Sam Darnold was playing relatively well. They're coached really well, offensively and defensively. But being sacked 9 times is not going to get it done. The Rams was just a better team on. The funny part is, I think the Vikings are a better team overall, but on yesterday, the Rams was a better team, was a better coach team, and the Vikings do what the Vikings do, and they make blunder and they wet themselves in the playoffs. That's just how the Vikings get down. They need Pampers. Next year's Minnesota Vikings should go into the playoffs wearing some Huggies.
Well, here's the thing. You're going to focus a lot. There's going to be a lot of people that go the negative route or the losing route, the Vikings. Let's give some credit to the Rams here, okay? This is a Rams football team that looked rejuvenated, and I think there's two reasons for that. The first, they benched all of their starters in the last week of the regular season against the Seahawks, a game that, had they won, would have set them up with a home date against Washington instead of Minnesota, which tells us they're not
They did
afraid of
that on
whoever.
purpose. They didn't want to see Washington
They don't
first
care who
round.
they play. That's what they said. We don't care who we play. We got to get healthy.
Of
This is
course,
a team that has not had a bye week, Rick, since early October. Their bye week was week 6. So they've been playing every single night. You've got multiple short weeks where they had a Thursday night game. Hold on, I'm explaining to you why they came out last night and rolled. So they have a Thursday night game after a Sunday night game right after the bye. They have another Thursday night game in December. They had a Monday Night Football game, so you're looking at already 3 short weeks for a football team over the course of not having a bye week in 3 months. They looked rejuvenated last night. They looked like an offense that was ready to roll, and I think that it's not worth discouraging or not mentioning the wildfires. I think there was a very real emotional game being played last night by the Los Angeles Rams, having to move and relocate that game to Arizona because of the natural disaster that's going on. So you've got a team that's finally been rested. They finally had some time to get, you're not going to get 100% healthy, but you're going to get as close as you can. And then you've got the emotion that is an entire region of the state of California still currently on fire with no real idea of how this is all going to conclude. And you got guys having to play a football game that goes one of two ways. You either have the guys that are super distracted. I think on last night it was proof those guys were locked in, Rick, and they were emotionally playing that game in a way that Minnesota couldn't match.
I will say that. I will say that the fires and everything that's going on in LA does have does have some significance on the players' mentality. Right now, which way that goes, who knows how the teams end up playing because of it. As apparently the Houston Texans have a fire hose because we put all fires out in
Okay.
Houston.
All roads
But
back to Houston for Rick.
yeah, You talking about the Rams? I'm giving the Rams credit. Can I get there?
And you had to shoehorn your Texans in. That's all. Said to make sure you can get the
Shoehorn,
Texans stuff.
Texans. I guess it does make a little sense. So, but the Rams play really, really good. Again, we thought the Rams was coming in. We thought they were the favorites coming in. But I think this is more about the Vikings being more of the same Minnesota Vikings. It doesn't matter who they play in the playoffs; they are going to come up flat as they have done time after time after time after time after time after time again. That's just what
Well,
Minnesota does.
speaking of coming up flat, Dallas Cowboys have been coming up flat for about 2 decades, going on three really at
Facts.
this point. And there is now the conversation that they might be bringing in old Deion Sanders to be the head coach, as his son has departed Buffalo. So why would he stick around? Shock to nobody. Is Deion the right call for the Dallas Cowboys?
He dicks no. He's not going. He's not going to Dallas. But let me be a little more specific. No coach who has a spleen or a spine or an opinion is going to Dallas. Because at Dallas, you can't be the coach by yourself. You have an assistant coach who happens to be the GM, who happens to also be the owner, who wants his hands in every cookie of the cookie jar. So no, this is Cap. This is Dallas trying to blunder up some sort of hype around this awful team that's awfully ran on the football field. Great commercially, but awfully ran on the football field. That's trying to get some momentum, trying to get some coaches interested because nobody wants to be a robot and then they sit and duck behind a 92-year-old Mr. Burns, telling them what to do on a day-to-day basis. So no, there's 0% chance Deion goes to Dallas. 0.
Do you think that the Dallas Cowboys would be able to draft Shedeur Sanders?
I I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to lose for another 15 years.
Well,
Or however
I
long
know
the
that
good
you've
Lord,
got some,
however long the good Lord keeps their owner alive and he keeps doing what he's doing the way he's doing it, the Dallas Cowboys are going to be in there all those years.
but do you think that they're going to be able to draft Shedeur Sanders?
Nothing they're going to do what?
Are they going to be able to draft Shedeur Sanders?
What?
So I'm going to take that as a no,
No,
because
they're not.
that means
Are you kidding me?
Coach Prime ain't going to Dallas if he's not coaching his son. Now, I'm not saying he's sticking around in Colorado. I would be stunned if he does, but he's not going to Dallas if he's got to be coaching Dak Prescott and going up against his son. If you look at his lineage of coaching, it has been in opportunities where he can put his son as QB1 on the depth chart. It was Jackson State because that's where he could get control. He could put his coach or put his son. It was Colorado because Colorado needed an opening and they needed somebody to bring attention back to the program, and it was a spot for him to bring in a lot of guys that he had, and specifically his son. If he's going to be going to the SWFL, he's going to a place where he gets to coach Shedeur Sanders, because Prime is image driven, and I'm not saying this in a bad way. He is image and story driven. There's no better story, and we've seen this in the SWBA with LeBron and Bronny. There is no better story than a coach head coaching his son. And that is what Coach Prime, he's not going, none of his moves have been made out of the benefit of the program or the opportunity to be a coach. It has been to coach his son. And he's done a halfway decent job at it. His son might be the number one pick in the draft. His son could be the first quarterback. That's where he's going. If it's going to be to the Cowboys, that means that Shedeur Sanders needs to be lined up there. Shedeur Sanders ain't going to the Dallas Cowboys. So unless something crazy happens, and that changes, which would be very tough to do considering the money owed Dak Prescott and the draft positioning, I don't think Coach Prime is going there. I think it stirs, and it's always, what does this do? Talking about Deion Sanders as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, when they could have been talking to anybody. He could have been talking to any of these coaches, and you're seeing a lot of teams going through their head coach interviews. Nobody's talked to Coach Prime. Now he's getting linked to the Cowboys. So anybody that had an inkling that maybe they didn't love their interviews that they just went through, now you're saying, oh wait, okay, this is now maybe a wanted commodity. Maybe you need to pay a little bit more attention to that and go after him and get it. We see it's a negotiation tactic. I'm not guaranteeing that's what's happening here, but I don't think that's far from the truth. All right, speaking of staying put, DJ Childs is staying put as he has announced that he is going to not declare for the SWBA draft, going well before anybody would make those proclamations. projected by some to be a second-round pick. ESPN's mock draft had him as a late first-round pick. He has really struggled this year, Rick. He has dealt with an ankle injury that has really sapped a lot of his athleticism, and his shooting percentages are the lowest of his collegiate career. Good idea to stay. I know you've been a big fan of him.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, I think it's more surprising that he's staying, consider the talent that he is. But this does nothing but raise his stock for next season and raise the stock of the Alabama Tide next season as well. My God, they're going to be stacked on paper, right? You still got to go out there and play. You still got to go out there and win it. But the recruiting class they have coming in with Kai Killings, top 10 guy, Almighty Soul. They got 2 top get 10 guys coming in. They have coming back 11 color. These guys on paper is looking like some Michigan Fab Five, Chris Webber type stuff. Now, are they going to be that? I am not saying that at all. People love to take my statements and make them golden quotes that I have not said, a la Marsh. So I'm not saying they're the next Fab Five or anything like that. I'm just saying the collection of players that they have and the talent they have reminds me of those teams that has from 1 through 5 really, really good players, and that's what they potentially are bringing. That's what they're bringing in next season. How it's going to work remains to be seen. But I just think this makes Alabama the favorites coming into next season. Next season hasn't even started yet.
So you went as far as to not compare them to the Fab Five, but get about as close as you possibly can. I don't know that you're wrong. That being said, this is the right decision for DJ Childs. He has not been good at all. I mean, 36% from the floor, 27% from deep, and the worst of it is 53% from the free throw line. If this is any other guy, if this isn't a name brand former top 10 recruit, I don't think that there's any conversation that he needs to stay in college. But the fact that he has some name recognition to him, being a guy that was very successful in high school, being a guy that was exceptionally successful last season in SimWorld U in his sophomore year with Alabama, there was some expectation. Okay, we know this is just an anomaly. We don't have to worry too much about this because he's going to be okay come the times that we need him to be okay. I think that this is the right move. I think that to me, an ankle injury does not mean you shoot 53% from the free throw line. That gives me pause to say, well, we can just blame this on him not being healthy. There's something up. There's something up there, and I don't know quite what it is, but I think it's enough to say there's 2 options, especially in an NIL universe where you don't need to go anywhere to still be making money from a collegiate standpoint.
True.
You could stay in Alabama. You can make the same money. A second round pick. Let's say he goes there, or a late first round pick. You're looking at what, $1 to $2 million a year. Maybe it's a 2-way contract. Maybe you get one of those new age second round picks that gets a 4-year fully guaranteed deal worth like $500,000 a year. You can make that in Alabama. Alabama boosters are plenty deep pocketed, and they've got a really good program that now you think, hey, we'll keep him around. We need a senior leader for the guys that you mentioned. You didn't mention Leonardo Fields, so let's add him into that mix. You got a really good program, and we need a senior leader to come around and stick that out. Give him whatever you would be making as, let's say, the 15th overall pick. That's $2 million. That's probably like $4 to $8, $7 million a year in that range. He can stick around. He could stick around for that. Not a problem. All right, we had a very short night last night in SimWorld U. We had 3 games. We're going to wrap it up, though, nonetheless. So roll the tape, and we will get you to the 3 games in action last night. It started in Maryland, where Cooper King Cross did not have an efficient night. It did not matter, as Maryland's defense was fantastic against Colorado State. In a 63-47 win, Cooper King Cross did end with 17 points on the night. He also, though, had 9 turnovers. Boise State's little run ends against Princeton, a 65-54 win for the Tigers. Princeton's Tyshawn Penn, 15-6-6, enough for the Tigers. Boise State's Carmelo Luper continuing to play well, though, 14-7-4 last night in the loss. And then we wrapped it up in Wichita State and Nevada. Nevada at home getting a win, 72-63. Marcellus Blow leads the way with 23 points, 5 boards, a pair of assists in the victory, 17-7 for Ian Swain last night. Nevada.
Shout out to Princeton. They're like my surprise team of the year so far. I didn't have Princeton on the Mego card.
Were they one of the teams that you tweeted about that you took the victory lap on Sunday with San Diego State? Princeton was in that mix, were they not?
I don't know if they had played any games at that
You
point.
don't. You really don't even know what he's saying.
They might have been
You don't even know it.
0-0 at that point. No,
No,
they got hot late.
it
So
was.
no, they wasn't like.
You took the victory lap on San Diego State, which the last week is well deserved. I think the other two teams you mentioned were Virginia
And
Tech,
there's some
who's
other teams
top
too. I
10.
just chose just single out San Diego State. They wasn't the only team that went flatter than that soda I was talking about.
No, there was a handful of teams that went
Yeah,
went
I
pretty
could
cold
run them down if you want me
last
to.
week. You know what? You got yourself a podcast. Everyone should tune into it. That's where you can run it down. How's that sound?
This is
Let's
facts.
let's let's drive the content to other spots of SimWorld. And Rick's Blazing Takes is a great spot to go. All right, we're coming back tomorrow. Reminder: we got the SimWorld U Game of the Week coming up this week. It is going to be a good one. That is Wednesday night. St. John's, Kaishan Ship, and Lamarion, Sherwood, and Iowa go to
The
battle.
number 3 pick in the draft.
Matchups. Sherwood in the conversation for top 5 pick. We'll see where he ends up going, but that is tomorrow night. We got more games though tonight. That's Richmond and Georgetown. Georgetown trying to straighten things out after an atrocious week last week, and then Michigan State and SMU. SMU climbing up the top 25. Cam Jones leading that charge. They will be in action tonight, 8 p.m., 6:30, 8 p.m. on CBS. All right, Rick, we will talk to you tomorrow morning, I do believe. If not, we'll talk to you on Rick's Blazing Takes whenever that's baby's dropping, or your Blazing Takes to go, which is just as spicy as a Wingstop order. And we will be back here on SimWorld TV
No
in the morning. Nope. Bold take.
No
Bold
ranch.
take. Not a blue cheese guy myself. All right. Only place you can see the game, be the game.
Stay classy, San Diego.